thing, right?
No one does that for me.
Do you want me to explain how Twitter works to you, Neil?
Maybe I'll
All right, okay. So I looked this guy up, and it's like 85,000 followers on Twitter or something. I was just like,
oh, that's nuts.
All right, you got me beat. You're a bigger deal than me, buddy.
Only by about
Congratulations.
84,500, but yeah.
Whoa! Who do you think I am, Raven?
Whoa! Cool. Found somebody we can divert attention from me away.
Yeah, mutually agree that we can dunk on with increasing regularity.
But yeah, that's an absolutely, obviously ridiculous amount. And he does a lot. He's not just one of these guys that people follow because they like to watch. He gives a lot back. He does a lot of, he turned up for that video, for instance.
Right, that's why I say community influencer, because he really is a leader. His, Armor team that he was very interested in promoting there, that is very much his initiative. And he's a big driving force behind that. You see double Shaman ban coming out here. Again, we see the Rogue being featured, which makes me happy because it's A, one of my favorite decks, and B, it was a deck that I really predicted myself would be a big meta force in this tournament.
Yeah, and it's interesting how that has worked out. I remember watching Orange talk about, I've watched a lot of Orange's streams, that's why I highlight it a lot, but he did a fantastic stream where he talked about preparation for this tournament. He said during that stream, I'm not putting him down, where he doesn't need the points as much anymore, so he didn't mind giving away a bit of his tech for this particular tournament if people copied it and beat him.
Yeah, I like that.
Which they did. It did get used against him, but he's going to put that on YouTube. But a lot of the things he said there was, he personally thought Rogue would be big, but he didn't like it.
Okay.
So he thought it would be big, but in their testing, they found, or his testing at least, they all went their own ways, but he felt that Rogue just wasn't good enough for this event.
One thing I will say is that you have to be a Rogue player. It's not a deck. If you've just been playing Quest Rogue for the past 2 months, and suddenly the nerf happens and you have to adapt to Miracle Rogue, that's not something you can do in a week. To be at a top level where you can beat other top players with Miracle Rogue, that takes months and months of practice.
Especially when you've been playing, oddly enough, especially when you've been playing the other variant of the same sort of deck for a long time. Reprogramming your brain just takes a little while as well.
Last thing that needs setting up before we actually start to dig into this Pirate Warrior versus Mage juiciness is that both of these players sit at a 4-2 record. So you can pretty much call this one a straight-up elimination game. Whoever loses this is out of the tournament. Whether they will continue to play for pride and for sweet, sweet Gosu points, who knows? But their chances of making top 16 is going to be over.
Yeah, and that is a big deal, obviously, with still 4 rounds to go, or 3 more after this one at least. Just looking at the Druids, again, not being banned, it just must be that everyone feels that Token Shaman is that little bit better. It's getting banned a lot of Shamans. I'm surprised that we're seeing Druid all the time. I was expecting to be banned a lot, but people have just tweaked their lineups to, in their minds, deal with it. Although we had that discussion yesterday, dealing with Druid doesn't always end how you want it to end.
It does not. No, I concur. But the Rogue is there in place for Torlk. So he feels like, again, he has an effective counter to it. The Mage is obviously weak to Jade Druid strategies. Then he has a Druid of his own, which, is at worst a mirror match, and if could be that favored aggro Druid matchup that we talked about. So he feels okay against the Jade Druid. Espumito, if he's not banning Druid, I assume that's a more aggressive Paladin, a Murloc Paladin, which is a very good matchup against Jade Druid. Of course, he has the Pirate Warrior as well, which people disagree on, but neither side thinks it's too far from 50-50, right?
Yeah.
We would say 52 favored to Jade Druid, something like that. Others might say 52 to Pirate Warrior, but it's a fine matchup from either side.
And you can slightly tech, as we saw yesterday, although it didn't work. You just stick in a Hydra or 2 Hydras if you felt greedy, and it just swings, because you're talking to such small percentages. There's 30 cards in your deck, each one's 3% to be drawn. Put a couple of different cards and you're going to swing that quickly.
I like that. That is a very clear and concise explanation.
I did something right?
Stolen.
Oh yeah, but I've done it on camera rather than on Skype this time, so you don't actually get away with stealing this one.
Yeah, you don't realise how many great tweets I have from Neil just saying something to me and me going, oh, that was a misplay, you should have tweeted it, because now I'm going to tweet it. And
then if I turn around and say, hey, Sottle stole that, you just go, no, I'm more famous than you. You didn't. And I'm like, oh, yeah, rip. Anyway, back into this. Torlk, by the way, he was top, we say he's been around for a while. He was top 4 here in Valencia before it was a Grand Prix event in 2014. He's been around a long time.
Beautiful. Let me feed on your delicious, delicious stats and history, Neil.
He's going to be here a lot longer if he keeps playing like this as well, just meteoring in a pretty good position. If you're still on 20s on turn 6 against Pirate Warriors Mage, you are in a fantastic spot.
Yeah, and Espumito is pretty much out of gas at this point. Like, you might look at that hand and say, Sotl, you moron, what are you talking about? But just picking up damage and swinging it at the face over and over again, that's not going to beat a mage that is at 22 already with a secret in play and is only one turn with coin away from Alexstrasza.
Right, and if things get awkward, you've got double Frostbolt.
Yeah, exactly.
Slow that down. And this is the point of the game where I'm normally saying, hey, now he's got to survive to Alex. That Alex might be an offensive unit in this particular game.
It might be.
You're not wrong. So well.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And yeah, just got so much stuff. And seriously considering, do I Frostbolt face here? But it's going to mess with my Alex. Am I going to use that Alex offensively? If I am, I don't Frostbolt face. If I'm going to use it a different way, I Frostbolt face and prevent 5 damage.
Something that we glossed over a little bit as we were just setting up the lead into this game is that Torlk took a potion of polymorph off his primordial glyph and then played it leading into turn 3, which actually turned out to be a very big deal and a very smart choice. He was first and foremost worried about Frothing Berserker landing. He just wanted to deal with, Frothing Berserker coming out, Potion of Polymorph snipes it, job done. But the fact he still hit the Bloodsail Cultist, which was, still going to be a spider tank on the board connecting with his face turn after turn, that's why you're now seeing this position where Espumito is just struggling to make a board state. Because initially, the ability for him to snowball was immediately shut down by that Potion of Polymorph.
And actually, turn 3 is the turn that is most dangerous against Warrior because it's the turn where they can play on curve the most efficiently. Turn 4, you often play another 3-drop and such like. But if you've got like Frothing Berserker and a Cultist, you shut down their turn 3. Turn 4 is their other 3-drop, 1-drop on top if they have it. They quite often miss a mana on turn 4, so killing that turn efficiently is a really good turn to kill.
Torlk looking like he's going, Frostbolt face here. This actually reduces the most damage possible. Could have just Frostbolted the Leroy, kept his 2/1s around and poked 2 to face. But that would not have locked out the Arcanite Reaper damage as well. So he's really trying to squeeze that extra turn out of his ice block here because he does not have the second ice block in hand just yet. Yeah,
looking like he is going to use the Alex defensively, just taking as much time as he can to set that up. And hopefully, for him, he will have a handful of cards. His opponent will have none when he self-Alexes later on.
That is a UC draw. He's going to go Flame Strike here, which now continues to give him maximum flexibility of whether he wants to go offensive Alexstrasza in the future, because he could go offensive Alex and have the 8/8 body connecting, backed up with Firelands Portal and Frostbolt to end the game. So choosing not to waste any damage just yet, giving him maximum options to move forward.
I feel like he's playing it as a defensive one that if accidents happen, sure, I'll kill you with it, but probably won't need to.
Yeah.
The Frostbolts to face a kind of giveaway for that because they're taking away turns from him when he's trying to deliver the last 15.
Absolutely.
So, but I mean, the way the game has panned out, we might just see this used offensively now because if he thinks he can win it in 2 turns, he will. That might change things. Because now he can just develop a board with Medivh that the Pirate Warrior can never deal with, and if the block gets procced, I'll just heal up to 15 and have a board full of Medivh dudes. Like, does Pirate Warrior ever play weapon removal? Like, ever? It's one of the least likely classes to do so, I think.
Agreed.
Or at least likely decks to do so, sorry. Warrior obviously does sometimes.
I think I like trading here. No, never mind. You have coin already. You have coin still. You don't have to trade. I was thinking because you almost certainly want to Alex next turn, or a lot of the time you want to Alex next turn, you don't have the mana to ping. But Alexstrasza coin ping was always an availability, so slapping face for 2 just to perfectly chip away the armor was perfectly reasonable there. But it's one of those situations where the hard work has been done. Torlk is just finding the way to lock up this series, and players will always disagree on how to win already won games.
Yeah, that's something we talked about many times before. It's just finding the extra tiny bit that doesn't really matter is one of the most argued things in Hearthstone, and also one of the least relevant things in Hearthstone, except the bit where the thought exercise puts you in position for when it does matter.
Yeah, I've thought about it a lot, and the reason I think players get so animated by it is because the game is won, it's actually very, very easy to just find a line of play that always wins the game, right? So everyone has an opinion because everyone can see it. Whatever it is, the it is different for each individual player, but everyone sees a line that they're confident is good.
Your brain turns off the second you know you've won 99.9% because why bother is the human instinct.
Yeah.
And like you say, everyone just sees their first line.
Torlk with the little wave. Says, see ya, Pirate Warrior. Espumito, try harder next time.
Whoa, I mean, he's trying pretty hard. He came second last time. How much harder do you want him to try?
As hard as he did that time.
I think he is doing.
I'm just putting words in Torlk's mouth. That's not me saying that.
Oh, of course.
I could do a really bad, offensive French accent if you wanted me to. If that
is that what he's got?
If that would sell the narrative a little better.
Is he got a really... Is that what you just said about Torlk? It is, but we won't talk about that any longer. So Espumito has got the added thing of being on home turf this time around, of course.
Very true.
We were going to talk to him via Akawanda last time around if he did win. And that was all set up.
Oh, does he not speak English?
He doesn't speak English at all well, so I don't speak Spanish at all well, so that didn't help either.
Donde está la biblioteca? Mi ama T-Bone, ni aranga disco. You don't get that reference, do you?
Do I get any references? No. Unless they're from Twin Peaks.
Everyone in Twitch chat now realizes that you are the Britta of casters.
I still don't know what's happening.
I know, it's great.
I hate myself.
Bet you say bagel, don't you?
Only when I'm talking to Alex. That's his name.
All right, Murloc Paladin versus the Gunther Freeze mage from Torlk. Espumito. I'm having to try very, very hard not to say Despacito, by the way, and you probably don't understand that one either, but he's just looking around like, please, can I get another casting partner that speaks English?
Just waiting for the hook to come from the side and whip one of us out of here.
Crucially, Mana Worm, Arcanologist, and Medivh's Valet all available to Torlk. So he can go Mana Worm on 1, he could have gone Arcanologist on 2, he could have picked up a secret on 3, which might have stuck around for his Medivh's Valet to then get activated. However, he chose to coin Ping to immediately shut down any potential Murloc synergy from that Grimscale chump, right? He saw it buff a Murloc, he knew there was a Murloc in hand, that could be a Rockpool Hunter. If he played his 1/3 Mana Worm into a 2/1 Grimscale chump, and that then got buffed to a 3/2, that's a big snowball. It's a value trade, it's a tempo gain, and it's a potential snowball then into War Leader and so on forwards.
Yeah, it's very... There's so much obvious synergy in these decks. Don't see, I'm looking at that Bluegill, it's like looking at me going, well, I'm in this deck. Don't see Bluegill very often in any Paladin decks at the moment. They seem to have sort of been phased out, either for the tempo's too bad or the value's not good enough. It's sort of been squeezed out of the deck a lot of the time.
It has. Did you catch the secret being played, by the way?
I didn't. I was too busy trying to get out of the room.
I was gazing into your beautiful eyes and missed it.
Well, that's something.
I guess we will go through this process with Torlk as it progresses here over time.
But that's Torkstone, right?
Heyo!
All right, so going to see how this goes, and then we'll see what we work out from it.
It looks like a pretty UC Kings to me in this spot. Just take advantage of it while you can before any secrets come into play. He didn't actually... Did he ever see the counterspell get revealed in the previous match? He saw it get played. But I think, you know, having ruled out all the secrets that it isn't, we now discover that the secret played was Redemption. But since he played through all the secrets that it wasn't, he probably now knows whether he saw the counterspell proc or not, that there is a counterspell in this deck, at least one.
And counterspell is indeed pretty commonplace anyway now. So that will be his default opinion, and if he's got no evidence to the contrary, he'll still assume it's there.
So getting use out of your Blessing of Kings and out of your Spikeridge Steeds when there's no secret in play, definitely very appealing. But Torlk here is looking like he is about to strangle a second aggressive deck out of the game. Turn 5, 30 health, board control, card advantage. Every single metric by which you evaluate who is winning a game of Hearthstone is in Torlk's favor right now.
Yeah, I mean, even the cards he has in his hand, he still has the Meteor. He hasn't had to use up any of those crucial AoE spells, particularly to keep going. And he's going to just steamroll this from here, unless Tyrion does its thing. Tyrion might not even be in this deck. This looks a very aggressive build.
It does depend on whether it's along the lines of that easy UK, easy Paladin, easy.
It does indeed, because they don't believe in the Tyrion in that deck because too many weapons is the short version.
Many weapons, yeah, that is the short version, I agree. There are slightly more justifications for it from that, but look at that juicy little Meteor.
I mean, one of those Murlocs just took an absolute beating.
Do you know one guy in history has survived being hit by a Meteor, apparently?
Who?
I don't know, but he has 16 health.
I'm so lost right now. Stop it. Oh my god.
Gentle Megasaur looking for some kind of board presence. The damage is just not going to be good enough in this spot. He needs resiliency. He needs 1/1 plants, or he needs +3 health. Divine Shield maybe as well. Yeah, takes the +3. Smart pick, I think, just desperately scrambling for some kind of board position. honestly, I feel like Torlk can just pick this apart. He's going to go Glyph, but I didn't even hate Fireball Frostbolt that turn or Fireball Ping that turn. Just take care of the majority of the board presence.
I think he wants to Glyph because he's going to Medivh next turn. So he wants to get the Glyph sorted in advance. He knows what to do.
That's a lot of damage you're taking over those 2 turns. If you don't clear now, then you take a beating this turn. You play Medivh, you take another beating.
You take 6.
You still intend to You still intend to fireball the Megasaur this turn?
I mean, so next turn you don't play Medivh necessarily, but you want to play the Glyph before the Medivh is where I was going then.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that.
Till turn 9 if you want to save that damage.
I can see that.
You just don't want. You want to know what your Glyph is before you go into Medivh and get your bigger minions. Oh.
Deck building decisions, ladies and gentlemen. Divine Favor going in, the one and only card that gave him any kind of hope in this position. Nails it, draws 4 for 3 mana, and now he's able to have a very effective Murloc flooding turn.
Yeah, and having taken those missiles, obviously Torlk next turn will just be throwing those out there and seeing what they hit. But they're going to have to hit well because there's 2 4 health minions out there. And
there's a Cold Light Sphere about to hit the board, so that is more... The more health hitting play. Greater Arcane Missiles does nothing to this board state unless it rolls absolutely beautifully, and Torlk is prepared to take the beating here.
But this is for the opposite reason. We were talking about why would you take a beating? He's got 3 cards.
No choice.
You just pick them off.
Yep.
Now it's gone the other way. He's playing it because it's the only way he can get out of it.
There's another 4 damage charging Bluegill Warrior. That is 5, 9, 11, 15, 19, 20. That's a pot. That is a proc. He's actually broken the block this turn.
And I haven't written 2-0 down, but I should have. And now it's going to be 1-0. I usually write things down to nominate big games, so if I have to change it, it's a surprise. 4, 6, 9, 13, 15, 19, 22. Yeah, he gets it done. I think the pause from Espumito there was just working out how to get the proc at 1, trying to ration this out. Swinging with a 2, then swinging with the weapon, then swinging with the final 2. That will get the job done just nicely. Absolutely huge in the context of this game and in this tournament. Look at Torlk's face! It's like, why am I losing to double Grimscale Oracle, double Bluegill Warrior right now? What is my life? Yeah. None of my 80,000 Twitter followers told me about this. Yeah, and I've been here since 2014. These just aren't cards. Like, if you've just been like in storage since 2014 and then you just came out, maybe in Carbonite, and you came back in 2017, you wouldn't know what was happening here. And that seems to be the look on his face. All right, so he's just making the most of this. But sure, what you're going to roll, it needs to be exceptionally impossible. If that's even a phrase, it is now. I always win. All right, take out one of the 4 health minions. He's doing everything by the book here, but it's not a very good book. So 5-drop Taunt and kill 3 different minions that turn, 2 of which were both Grimscale Oracles. I guess he could have stayed alive. Earth Elemental. Yeah. Yep. Definitely. Yep, played to the outs, was looking to concede right at the start of the turn, but wow. Divine Favor flipped that matchup on its head. And it's a card you almost never see, which is why it flipped it on its head, because it was a card you saw more often. Maybe Torlk would have emptied more out of his hand the turn before, not gone for the Glyph. He could have killed the 2 minions. You were talking about that. I mean, that's one less card in hand. I actually think that is a pretty big talking point, because I honestly thought that play was just fine. I thought the Glyph in that position introduced a level of variance that he did not have to take. You know, 25% of glyphs that you play give you absolutely nothing. Like, you know, a dumpster tier card, right? So at that point, you open up that window for your opponent to come back into it. I think Fireball Ping or Fireball Frostbolt was absolutely fine that turn. Maybe that's something that we can look at. Maybe that's something Torlk will go back and look at. And I hadn't thought of the Divine Favor, so I actually preferred his play, but for reasons that were nothing to do with that. The Divine Favor gets another card out your hand, your way. So that's 2 cards difference. You removed 1 and they draw 1 fewer. Yeah, I think Thor Menos, whose name I probably just butchered and I apologize, was the guy who really brought this aggressive Murloc Paladin deck into the limelight like many months ago now, possibly like quite early in the Ngoro expansion. His deck then had 1 copy of Divine Favor in it. I think originally he hit rank 1 legend. It really came to the limelight. That's what created the Hungry Crab meta, because everyone was playing that damn deck. But since then, the deck just kind of got more stable, more mid-rangey, and the Divine Favors, the Bluegill Warriors, they all disappeared. So one of the reasons for playing the Aggro Druid over the Jade Druid, which I'm going to elaborate on a little bit further, is this Hungry Crab. It's much better in this version, the Aggro Druid. But I still feel that just putting it in Jade Druid along with Curator is fine. It's a beast, so it gets drawn off the Curator, and it takes a long time to kill those Murlocs, but Jade Druid has a long time. You know, it doesn't like being overwhelmed, and it dies on turn 8 or 9 to an overwhelming board, but it can get there.
It can, and since Earthen Scales entered the format, it has even more time than it perhaps used to. Between double Earthen Scales, usually double Feral Rage, and Primordial Drake, like, you do buy yourself a ton of time to get the work done.
Something I'm seeing more and more with Earthen Scales as well is people playing it on turn 2 or 3. I think Kalento's done it several times in this sort of matchup.
He was doing it at Shanghai as well, very regularly. Yeah, at least 2 occasions, I think. And
I've tried that out myself, and actually, oddly enough, what Kalento does seems to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Just forgetting the fact it gives you armor and just using it as the world's worst buff.
Apart from saying Hearthstone is easy and then getting body bagged by Mage.
Is Hearthstone easy?
It definitely isn't.
That's good. That's what I thought. I never find it easy. Okay. Obviously casting's easy though. Everyone says that. Apart from the casters.
You seem to be evidence to the contrary.
I indeed do. I do like to provide an alternate opinion on life.
Life is easy, though, when you just nail the double Hungry Crab draw against aggro Murloc Paladin. That is 2 1-mana Totem Golems, and that Totem Golem is about to become a Pit Fighter and draw a card. That's just not fair.
And you can tell by the smirk on Torlk's face that it is not fair, because he is very pleased indeed with this particular turn of events, and why wouldn't he be?
Oh, of course. So, he made that gesture as he was queuing up the decks in between, and I thought it was like a stop talking kind of gesture, like, you know, what are you running your mouth for kind of thing. Of course, he's just making the crab pincers. He was praying for crabs, and his prayers were answered.
Yeah, I mean, I can't, can I add to that? I can't. It's not a thing I can do. All right, and now Espumito is in the position where he needs the Divine Favor to turn it around, but this time, not only is Torlk playing an aggressive deck anyway, but he knows it's there, so it's just not going to happen.
He's playing the deck that, as we have already established, just vomits its hand everywhere. So that is not a likely scenario for you to get too much value out of your Divine Favor. Torlk is back to the pincers. 3rd crab finds value. 3rd Totem Golem. This one for the slightly more balanced, although not completely balanced cost, as we saw for many, many months, of 2 mana.
It doesn't seem very balanced.
It doesn't. Why would
I know it is,
but why would you print that card?
It's like, yeah,
2 mana, 3/4? Come on.
Wow. At least it hasn't got overload.
Very true.
I know I ruined the joke. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Wow. Quickest game of Torlk's life, though, in
Quickest
that
game of the tournament, I think. We've had a lot of grindy games so far.
Have we had any Innovate Fledgling nonsense yet? I wasn't even looking at this hand when I said that. I was just saying that because that's probably the one way you can win a game that's quicker than double crabbing aggro Murloc Paladin.
I think we may have had one turned down.
Ooh.
Where it was like double
Spicy.
Raven, coin, innovate, buff, put down a whole bunch of stuff into Flappy Bird.
We did see Innovate Fledgling, Coin Fledgling, but the first Fledgling got answered, so it wasn't as much of a blowout as it could have been. Espumito, in one of the most important games of his career, certainly pushing up there with the 2nd place, of course, that he had to. Orange is now facing down the Patches draw at an elimination game at his follow-up DreamHack event to that breakout performance, and you want to follow up a breakout performance. I feel like I've been banging this drum all weekend, but you do need to nail those consistent performances. So following up one big DreamHack 2nd place with another top cut would have been huge for Espumito's career on whole, right? But in this position, elimination game, both of these players 4 and 2. One more loss, next to 0% chance of qualifying. I hate saying 0% in Swiss because mad things can happen.
Especially when it's slightly lower than you expected and people do drop out earlier than they used to. Yeah, but you are right. It's almost impossible for it to happen.
Let's say he will be out if he loses this game, and that is not the situation where you want to be drawing patches. It's not the situation where your opponent innovates Flappy Bird against you. It's not the situation where he draws both of his Hungry Crabs against your Murloc Paladin. All of those things have happened to Espumito.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot in this game he can do about that particular thing at the moment, although, I mean, his previous win, as you said, was deck-building decision anyway. And I want to elaborate on this thing you're saying about getting one breakout performance after another. It's something that Jumbre was really upset about when he had his breakout performance. He sort of streamed and did it all wrong and lost a lot of people that night, and then didn't have a follow-up performance. Now, Jumbre's still big. He invented UK Paladin. He got #1 legend. But if he'd built on that with one more straight away and not done what he did on stream, he would be possibly a big name now. And that's going back a year. There are more good players than ever before for people to follow, to get invested in at the moment. So.
He might be Jackie Chan right now. It's a very real situation,
That's
right?
at least a plus.
Yeah, if he'd have capitalized on his success with that Egg Paladin when it first came out, he could have, you know, had been the breakout star that Jackie Chan was for the UK. But we are finding various filler topics to talk about right now, Lorinda, because this game is a formality. This is a giant pink avian creature continuing to connect with the face and continuing to snowball. That's just a 7/7 stealth minion right now for 3 mana.
Into a guy who's got 14 health and other issues. Like, yeah, that's the best thing to do in this position, I feel. Torlk getting on with it into 5 and 2.
Yeah, there's a really quick series going on there, and at first I thought there's a bit more back and forth was going to happen. But then aggro druid is a thing, and I'm always happy when I see a lot of birds get some work done. You know.
He's here now, Sotos.
I'm sorry. Do you want to repeat that and maybe consider your phrasing just for a moment?
Well, the phrasing's only relevant in the UK.
Okay.
Which you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do, yeah.
With wings of the enchanted raven variety was on the board as well as the pink flappy bird.
Yeah, it really looked like early on Torlk was going to set up a mage sweep. It looked like he had a very easy game 1, and then it looked like he had an equally easy game 2 against the aggro paladin. But that divine favor just bust the game wide open, and then suddenly Grimscale Oracle Bluegill Warrior got the job done.
It was funny when that match or that game, sorry, was happening. I sort of just like saw the game begin, just looked away. I think it was eating something. Looked back, I'm like, oh, Murlocs, like more Murlocs than normal. Okay, this is just aggro, like fair play, and it got some good work done, but very difficult when aggro druids drawing. You know, like it is, basically.
Yes, indeed.
What do you guys think of the previous series, actually?
I mean...
It's a little bit unfortunate, wasn't it?
It was. Many things just didn't line up. I think the second series did just steal the show a bit. More from Torlk's animated personality than anything else.
Right in the beginning, deadpans into the...
Giving this the stare down and the wink, and then the old crab pincers. He praised the crab trying to draw it and then nailed both of them, and then just, thank you, crab.
I think one highlight we can take from that series, though, from those pair of series, 3 more aggro druids. That's something I don't think any of us really predicted at this tournament, and it's not just a few of them now. We've seen 50-50 split pretty much for druid.
Yeah, it's getting there. Definitely is getting there, and we've seen aggro druid actually be dominant as well.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing that, okay, we saw some aggro druid, but it was going 1-1, 0-1, like whatever, and then we saw the Jade druids and they were going 3-0 and sweeping series like they were early on. But we're seeing the aggro druids get just as much work done as the Jade druids in this tournament
and
so
I generally think it's in terms of just expecting what the lineups to be in this tournament as well. After the Quest Rogue nerf, it was like, oh, everyone goes control. Okay, so I need to be more control or like greedier control, you know, take some edges there. But then the second people take that one step further, you can be like, okay, I'll just play aggro and get him. And aggro druid is one of the best decks, I feel, against control decks to actually get that done.
And as Yotl said in the cast, against Jade druid as well, which everyone was expecting, we are seeing people leave up druid. We were questioning it yesterday, what are they doing? Now we know.
It's the point I was going to make is that you then also have to go that level deeper. You have to say, okay, so step 1, Quest Rogue is gone. What was Quest Rogue doing? Quest Rogue was keeping control decks out of the metagame to an extent. So step 1, people are going to play more control decks in response to that rogue. Step 2, people who make that very simple read that every player will make, everyone can work that out. What do they then do in reaction to that? So step 2 is then, well, people will bring control counters. So that's Jade Druid, that's Miracle Rogue, potentially. So then, level 3, how do I beat those decks? The Jade Druid and the Miracle Rogue. Aggro Druid.
Yeah, and it's really, so a lot of aggro druid is, oh, innovate bird or innovate hydra. You know, they're the, exactly, and they're the memorable moments. But actually, aggro druid is very, very consistent, I feel. Like, it feels like, you know, you look at Secret Mage, even the fast version, just doesn't feel consistent to me at all. It feels really risky, whereas aggro druid just feels like, okay, I'm going to get them pretty much every time here.
How many conversations have you and I had, Raven, outside various hotels around the world, like the ballers that we are, where I said to you, why do people play the Finja package in aggro druid? It's just making a consistent deck inconsistent. And now, a couple of months down the line, Finja package seems to be dead, and we are seeing a deck consistently curve out and murder people.
That's it. It's just full of good cards, and they're good when you draw them. I think that's the key. But that was a pretty cool round, pretty cool series of matches we have on the stream there. And that's going to be round 7 over. We're going to be moving over to round 8, pretty much. We've got plenty plenty of matches still being played out, so we are going to be making sure they're all finished up before we move on. But, you know, we'll keep you updated on that. But for now, that's going to be it from us. We're going to be back with round 8 as soon as possible for you guys. Thanks a lot for watching.